Just wait till we get it up here so I can pop it on my screen, just so I can keep an eye on any comments. Perfect, here we go. Awesome, and I can see everyone on there, so that's amazing. All right, sorry, I'm just going to open up the comment section and turn my volume down real low. Awesome, all righty. Oh my gosh, welcome to the panel. This is my first ever panel interviewing gorgeous souls. I have three beautiful ladies with me today, but before we begin, let's a little bit about myself. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jamima Donaldson. I am a wife, a mother of 6, 5 of my own, 1 beautiful stepdaughter. I'm a life coach. I love helping women find their purpose, and I am also a professional network marketer. So there I'm pretty much an all-rounder, really, if you ask me, but that's all good. Today, I have some amazing women with me who are going to literally blow your mind with the value that they're able to give to you. These women have kicked some massive goals in their careers. They have struggled, they have done it all, and they've come back swinging. So today, I have with me Jody, I have Asha, and I have Keri. And I will bring them both up all on, even individually, to introduce themselves. So Jody, I'll get you to do it first. I'll get you to introduce yourself and just tell the people who are listening a bit about your story, you know, how you got to where you are today.
Thank you. Just before I do that, I just want to share some gratitude your way, and also to all my fellow panelists. I watch you all intensely and your journey. And Jamima, it's just such a pleasure to watch you grow to be here today. You did an amazing job putting this together. So thank you for the opportunity to contribute today. My name's Jody Michelle Perry. I'm an evolution coach. My life wasn't always like that. But today I'm working really hard on helping people truly evolve. So working out what they're passionate about, getting them to press pause, get clarity and dream really big, and then evolve whatever that might be, get their dream job, physical well-being, mindset, whatever that may be. So I guess like a lot of people that have change and then feel called or find their purpose, I had a point in my life where things weren't very amazing at all. And so I guess I would describe myself as stuck and overwhelmed and anxious, and all of those emotions we would align with being what we would call negative emotions. And the tipping point really for me was heading home one night. You can hear my voice start to change. Heading home one night, and I really just wanted a legitimate reason to push pause. And the choice I was going to make was to just clip my car under the front of this big double semi-trailer truck. So that sparked me letting my husband know that I'm not okay, seeking the help that I needed to at the time. Doing a lot of soul work with energy healers and lots of different people. And years on now, I think it's over 5 years of work, bringing the culmination of all my work together and my career into my coaching. So I'm really grateful for what happened for me and the opportunity I have to make a difference and share with others that wherever we are, there's always the next level we can work through, and just help them do that. Thank you.
I literally love your story. It's such a inspirational one, and I've definitely heard it a few times, and I never bore of it. It's I know a lot of women, including myself, that have been there, so it's definitely inspirational. So thank you for sharing. So I'll bring out Asha next, and if you want to introduce yourself, gorgeous, and let everyone know a little bit about your story.
Thank you so much. And I just echo Jody's sentiments, and what a tremendous job you've done, and bringing us all together. And it's just such a privilege to be here today with, you know, my fellow panelists and sharing this space, and hopefully just allowing our stories to share with other people that are wanting to embark on similar journeys. So my journey started quite a long time ago. It was my first year out of high school, and I remember the day so clearly. It was one of those phone calls that you never actually forget. And I received a phone call to say that my father had been in a really significant accident, and only to arrive at the hospital and find that he had severe brain damage. And from that point on, it actually sent my life on a trajectory. And with trying to understand my life and our family and everything that that meant, it meant that I pursued psychology and neuroscience and any form of modality that could allow me and my family to move through this really drastic life change at that time. So I graduated with, first class honors. I dove in really head deep and just, absolutely consumed any knowledge that I could that I thought would make a difference. And then went on to do a master's of clinical psychology and have been working with people doing therapy for the past 10 years. And then Corona hit and the entire world dynamic changed, and it didn't sit right with me to have a bunch of knowledge and skills that I'd collected over the past 14 years and not provide a modality to share that with. And that from there, I created Light Tower. So I'm the founder of Light Tower, which is a personal development company for people who are looking for strategies of how to transcend their own suffering and gain the skills to really rise to the occasion that is their life. So I help them live with purpose and in alignment with that purpose. And I also teach businesses how to do the same, because I feel like it's really a collective job in rising to the occasion and making sure we all fare out of this particular chapter in history in the best possible way. So that's me. That's a little bit of my story, my journey.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Really, at the end of the day, beautiful. Yeah, I'm with you, Jody, there. Beautiful. Keri, I'll ask you to pop on out and give everyone an introduction and just a bit of a backstory.
Well, I didn't realize how much my story kind of echoed Asha's, but it was the death of my father that really, like, all points kind of lead back to there. So what I had found when I lost my dad is that all the grief advice or the grief suggestions just didn't work for me. And so it was really this discovery of, well, what exactly about them is not working? Like in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, going for a run just didn't seem like it was fixing anything. Getting lots of sleep, eating right, talking to people, like that's all stuff that we usually try to do every day. So I just could not correlate in my mind how I was supposed to do that and have it mean anything different than what I've already kind of been trying to do, right? And so that was when I dove into the science of the brain and the science of trauma. And my daughter had been struggling and she was really close to my dad. So it was just learning about brains. And then I came in contact with some coaching and I just have been meshing the two of them together. I started as a grief coach, but now grief is just, and loss is just kind of a part of what I coach. What I really coach is your brain. It's thought work. It's about being able to truly create that picture of what you want your future to be, because sometimes you're at that point where you're just so far in the weeds, you can't even imagine it being any different than it is. And so kind of bringing that back and then creating a purpose-based framework and kind of the roadmap that works for you and your life and your goals. I'm just the process that gets you there.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And it's definitely each one of you have that pinnacle moment where things change, where things have to change, where everything alters and you literally just make a decision to move in a different direction. All right, so Jody, I'll bring you up again and just on your journey, I guess it's for people who are watching and maybe they might resonate with that and they're in that same position, where they're exhausted, they're tired, they feel like there's not enough of them to go around. How did you get through that? So what would be, what did you do? What was when you got home and you told your husband, what was that point of difference for you where you made those changes, and what kind of value would you give to people listening that would help them in the same situation?
Yes, I could talk about that forever, so I might just chunk it up if that's all right, but happy to take any questions later. So like Keri said, it was really just at the start survival, and my mindset was I need help, so if I'm not too busy at work tomorrow, I might make a call about that. And my husband's like, you're not actually driving to work tomorrow, you're not okay. So the first component was survival and getting the right help for finding the right help for the problem that I had or the situation that I had. And I worked with psychologists at that time. Then I started to really throw myself into personal development and understanding myself, all those kind of things for many years. Hired my first coach, and he taught me about the power of choice. So simple. It's like, but I have to do this job and these people need me. And it's like, actually, you're free to choose. So once I learned that I'm free to choose, I am the author of my own story. I have a beautiful new page every day. And what happened the day before, I can choose to pick up the pen and write something different. Even I'm just going to take one step different. And then it was small, consistent steps in the right direction. And just then resetting and going, well, if that's possible, what's next? If I can drive to work without feeling like I'm going to vomit, wow, what's next? And so ask and just continually working through that. And, even as entrepreneurs, a lot of ladies here have got new things they're launching this year. And that's scary too. Every time we step up, there's another step. So I think it's really about get the right help, know that you have the power to choose, and then just keep taking the steps. Yeah.
I love that. That's so true, definitely. So Asha, I'm going to bring you forward next. And so you did mention about your dad, and then you going to studying hard and throwing yourself into it, and then COVID happened. So then you had to find your feet on the online. Now, a lot of people facing exactly the same situation as we're walking into 2021. So can you talk us through what you did to overcome the struggles that you had, what those struggles may have been, and what kind of value you could pass on to anyone who is looking to do the same?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So for me, probably the biggest challenge was actually allowing myself to redefine myself. Coming through from a health professional background, there was a lot of regulations that I was very used to, and used to kind of being the person behind the door, not the person up front. So a lot of my challenges were actually in how do I define myself in this version of myself, in being the founder of a personal development company that aims to actually bridge the science and the spirituality. So really stepping out from what I had previously known. And what that came down to was allowing myself to recognize who I am without the profession. And I think for anyone embarking on a journey like this, it's about who I am, irrespective of the roles that I have previously been and still currently are. So whether that's a mum or a wife, or someone who works part-time, or a student, or comes from a different background, about recognizing who I am irrespective of all those roles. And when we tap into that and then build a brand in alignment with who I really am, and for me, the biggest tip that I would have for others who are going through a similar journey is, one, to really ask yourself, who am I and what's my mission? Who do I want to serve? And then also providing a team around you that can help you create that, because we're all very skilled in our own domain, And then I think when you step into the entrepreneurial arena, you recognize how many facets are there to be covered from a marketing, branding, technology perspective. So for me, what was so valuable was actually getting a team around me that had their expertise in their own right, and then which freed us up to do what we do best. And then the other thing that I would recommend for people in a similar situation is to surround yourself with people who want to champion you. So for me, that was, you beautiful souls here, because I was able to exist as this form of myself, and allow myself to get courage and bravery in this version of myself before going out to the general public. So for me, it's about recognizing who you are and then surrounding yourself with the people that want to see you succeed.
Awesome. I love that. That's such good value there as well. Geez, ladies, you're on fire tonight. Keri, I'll ask you to come forward. And I know that you were talking about your business, and you're doing it as grief counseling to begin with, or grief coaching, and then you changed over. I guess when you find you're looking, and you're starting a business, if you could talk about the hurdles that you faced within that domain, and maybe some value you give to people around that. So I guess, yeah, just the hurdles that you'd face. Sorry, lost my train of thought then.
There for you, even if you don't finish that train of thought. So yeah, the grief was kind of the first hurdle that I tackled. And once I kind of got to that space in my brain where I was processing again, I really, like, for me, it was never a fear of expressing who I was. It was literally rebuilding who I was. And the thing about losing somebody is we lose what it was that they provided for us in that relationship, right? And, me and my dad had a complicated but amazing relationship. And I did not realize how much I had really leaned on him to his like innate understanding of who I was, and then his cheerleading that he did for me. And having that gone, like I had no idea where to even find that again. Everywhere else I looked was an echo chamber, where you just kind of have like the same thing over and over and over again. And I knew I needed different. And so the grief coaching was just, it was just the courage to get my foot in the door and just to state something so that I could get started. And I think that leaping off and continuing to ask the questions is the biggest part of courage. And then to be able to ask questions that are terrifying. Like for me, it was like just being brave enough to say, you know what, going to a therapist isn't helping with my grief. It's great to write a list of all the things that tick me off during the week and then like let it all out. But it seemed really contrived to me, and it didn't seem like forward motion. And then also the aspect of grief of, in time it'll fade, in time it'll get less, you might still get hit with waves, but the waves come less often. And for me, that wasn't a good enough result. I wanted to be able to think of my dad and love him and feel like he was coming with me on this journey, because he was always the one who said, I should be an entrepreneur. I should work for myself. I should get out. I should write. I should do all these things. And ironically, it wasn't until I lost him that I felt like I had to, because he, in a lot of ways, he was just like that thought safety net. Like, well, I don't really need to, because no matter what, dad thinks I can. And I can always go shoot the shit with dad. And then when he wasn't there anymore, I was like, well, how do I have those conversations with him and have it just not hurt every single time? And so that's when I started looking into things like cognitive dissonance, and how could I make sure that my brain, every time it thinks about my dad, thinks about the love and the joy as opposed to the loss and the sadness. And so just really the courage to not accept the general answers and then still kind of feel like maybe I'm a weirdo. I mean, I am, don't get me wrong, but I said it out loud a whole lot until it became normalized for me.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I love that. I love that you all bring that unique difference about you as well with your answers and just what you bring to the table. It's amazing. So we can open up. So you can answer this the same way, or you can pop out if you want to. But I guess at some point you all had to do some sort of personal development to work on yourselves, or however you want to call it. How important would you say it is, to work on yourselves?
Not at all. You might as well just quit now. No, for me, it was like working on myself to be able to work on myself. Like I had to do some really meta layers for sure.
And that takes time and, work definitely. What about you, Jody? What's your thoughts on personal development and working on yourself? Obviously, you said that you've done some. How important do you feel that is for anybody in a space of anywhere, realistically, to utilize?
Question to answer, because a lot of people can be confronted about personal development. So I would describe personal development is just about having clarity about where you want to be. Like a lot of us desire a better or different experience or life or outcome. So once we know what that is, then the work we do to get there is the personal development stuff. So people might think personal development is going to Tony Robbins or whatever. It can just be as easy as watching this, taking one thing from it and starting that tomorrow. Like that's personal development. Those of you right here, they're like, I'm stuck, but I'm going to commit to watching this. That's personal development. Following you or any of these ladies on social media, that would be personal development. So I think it's on how you justify it, but there's so much value in finding someone that you align with that is where you want to be and fast tracking it, because life is so important. Like I don't want to miss a second of a minute of a day. And I spent so much of my life asleep. So I would encourage anyone, if they know where they want to get to, find someone who can get them there as quick as they can and just fast track yourself. That's what I would say.
Perfect. I love that. That's really good, because some people do find it really confronting, the words personal development. So true. Asha, what are your thoughts on it, Del?
Look, I think both ladies have really spoken beautifully to it. There's not too much more to add. However, I think for me with personal development, and particularly if we look at kind of generating our own business, stepping into that place, for me, what I found is that it's as much a spiritual, psychological journey as the actual doing of whatever it is that you're creating. So I think it is really par for the course, because it's not until we're in new environments or expanding environments that we recognize things that we're carrying that are either holding us back or things that we are yet to come into contact with that can, like Jody said, fast track or expand us in the way that we're wanting to. So I think no matter what circumstance you're jumping into, having that openness to personal development or to grow or to experience, and then to also let go of what isn't serving you anymore, that's the journey. And that's also where the richness comes from. As much as it can be confronting, what's on the other side of that is more of who you are and more of how you want to express yourself within the world. And so I think when you have that on the other side of the scariness, that can also, hello darling, that can also help leverage you into that discomfort. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's absolutely par for the course. And I think it's then what do we place around that in order for us to move through that with a sense of surrender and ease and as much grace as we possibly can, in knowing that some personal development can be quite uncomfortable. So yeah, I think and also again, surrounding yourself by other people who are either personally developing in the way that you want to, or have already gone down that road, or even just people who are personally developing within their own interests. But surrounding yourself within an environment where that actually feels like part of a usual week, not something that we wait for or wait for a crisis and then go, oh yeah, I probably should do something about that. So I think, getting being proactive about personal development is also, really important, and it just lets you get accustomed to the process for when those crises inevitably come.
That reminds me of a quote, Asha, and you'll recognize this quote because we've read some of the same people, but there is it's a Navy SEAL, it's a Navy SEAL quote, and that is, we never rise to the occasion, we sink to the level of our training. And so for me, personal development hasn't been about developing, it's about creating that training safety net, like, who am I going to be in the most direst of straits, right? And so I think we all, unfortunately, we all kind of had that wake up call this year with like that, oh, there's really things I can't control. Like not just like lip service, tongue in cheek, oh, I can't control that, but like really, really. But without that, we wouldn't be able to see Jody's beautiful children, because maybe working from home, that was a different sort of norm. You still kind of kept them blocked out or whatever, because you're trying to be this other thing because it wasn't a norm. We've created these norms this year that some of them kind of suck, but some of them are really, really useful to be able to look at how you're thinking about things. So if you can't agilely switch in your mind, that's something to think about for sure.
Awesome. I love that. And actually, we'll keep you out, Keri, because I want to chat to you, because I know that you were talking about thought process, and you did mention about just saying, you had training yourself when you were thinking about your dad to really think about the things that were really important to you, rather than the sorrow and the pain that you were feeling, to feel that love and that connection that you had with him, so that you could take him along the journey with you. So I guess for someone who is listening, I mean, I know that to go into this, it would be a massive, massive thing to go into. So I'm not expecting to explain it all, but maybe just a couple of tips on how you might, start that journey off.
Well, just really simply, and this is fun having Asha here because she is a trained psychologist. I haven't actually rolled these theories out in front of somebody who has like that scientific sort of training or that clinical training. So my thought is land on love. So feelings are sensations in your body for the most part. And so when I would think about my dad right after I had lost him, I had like that, that feeling that you've lost something and you don't know where it is. Like, I mean, seriously, losing my dad felt like when you wake up late for work, or when you lose your car keys and you can't find them, you have to go get your kids. I mean, not to make that on the same level as losing your dad, but in your body, it is that like frantic sort of aching pain, right? It's a physical sensation. And so I didn't want to have, every time I thought about my dad, I didn't want to experience that physical sensation. But I knew that was going to be a part of that process. And also I knew that if my body felt that every time I thought about my dad, it would be like there's something wrong. And so it tried to move me away from or out of thinking about my dad as often as possible for like this sort of biological safety, right? Because I mean, we're here to breed and be safe, really, when it comes down to our basic organism functions. Live long enough to procreate. And so, well, I mean, it's so much more than that to be human, right? But that is our, biological focus. And so what I really wanted is when I would think of my dad, like I would feel that at first because I would remember that he wasn't there. And then I'd be like, but love is created within me. And so then I would just take a minute and I would remember how it felt to be in a conversation with him when I actually liked him. Because me and my dad, we had like I said, a super interesting relationship. And so there's lots of conversations I was in with him where I was like, I don't like you. But if I could remember those parts, as well as like the parts that I felt the love, I could recall that body sensation. So I was encoding my thoughts with my physical sensations to kind of be in that point. And that was super, super useful to me, especially since his passing was the catalyst to me sitting here with you ladies right now saying, I'm Keri, I have a business, I'm a coach, I have a podcast, like would not have done that if he hadn't moved on, and so landing on love, and by landing on love, I don't mean like in an existential way, but like physical sensations, when your heart kind of smiles. You guys ever been in that situation? To me, I mean, love, yeah, love, when I feel love, it smiles at me, like, and then that heaviness of like everything being pressed down when you're super scared or lost, whatever that feels like in your body. Those are physical sensations. I call them feelings. And then we name it with an emotion word is how I approach that. And correlation works for me, science or not. Was that brief enough? Do you want me to keep going?
No, you're right. That is awesome. I love that. So the takeaway point for me for that is, to really bring yourself back when you're thinking of those, to that sensation you feel, the joy of that moment where you would have had with your dad, rather than the love instead of the pain of losing him, which is a massive thing for people, and anyone who's lost anyone, which most people have. It's such a valuable tool to take with them, because unfortunately, when you do think of someone after they pass, it is that pain you first feel. So to be able to train yourself to be able to feel that love you have for them, that's amazing, and that's a beautiful thing to share with people.
And I would literally think about him as often as possible. Like I would just cry and cry and cry until the tears turned to joy. I mean, like, and the conversations that I would have, I mean, really, people probably thought I was nuts if they heard me during those times, because I was just.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing. Jody, I know you are a phenomenal coach, and I know that you do evolve and you help women to evolve themselves. Now, obviously, you have some amazing programs, and you can't run through them all tonight, but I'd love you to touch on, what you think would be a starting point for someone to move into that, to evolve themselves.
For anyone to evolve into anything, or in relation to the work that I do specifically?
Yeah, so what you do, so you help women evolve into themselves, finding themselves as well, and moving forward with whatever direction they want to go in. Obviously, we don't want you to, well, we'll be here all day or maybe all week, because you've got lots and lots of content. I know this. However, maybe just a tip on what they could do just to start the journey off, what you would sort of do with them.
Sure. So for anyone who's never worked with me before, there's so much free content that I pour my heart and soul into. So that would just be follow me on socials. I can pop a link if you like in the chat box, and that would be a great place to start. And one of my other favorite places is my half-day workshop, which I give to the universe. I had my first one last week, and it was super powerful. You were there. It was amazing. Thank you. So that's my gift to the world, and everyone can access it. So I would definitely start there. It's just packed full of, they say give away your best stuff for free. So that's pretty much what I've done, and it's just so nice to be in service and just give. But I learned so much. And if I could just say, Keri, I know we have worked and come across each other in each other's circles, and I knew there was a gift that I was to get from you, but I just couldn't connect with what it is. And my dad's actually not well at all, and it's a really probably going to get teary now, a really tough week for us next week with grief, and you've really gifted me with so many strategies to work through next week, especially with my children. So thank you. I knew there was something, but I got it today. So thank you. And, pardon?
Available to you.
No, thank you. So that's really what this work's about. So at the workshops I love to give, but I also get so much back. I learn, or get joy in seeing others transform. So I would definitely start at, come to the workshop. Thank you.
Oh, my girl, I'm like literally tearing up for you. I love you so much. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad, but I'm sending you so much love and positive vibes, babe. And such value. And so for anyone who is watching, Jody is exceptional at what she does. And I actually attended her half day first workshop, and it was value packed in your face, like no bars hold. Yeah. 100%. She gives it all. So yeah, I'll get Jody will pop that into the link into the chat, and feel free to join her and follow along on social media. Oh, lost my words there, and I'm like still emotional. But yes, definitely, Jody is amazing in everything she does. So you will love jumping in and following her. Now, Asha, I'm going to ask you to jump on out and let's talk about, so you literally launching your company, which is phenomenal, by the way, and it's personal development. And I guess my question to you, I mean, I know you touched on it briefly, and we can talk about personal development all day, but what is your best tips? So I'm going to ask this a little bit differently. So obviously, we've talked about personal development, how important it is, or what we think is important and how we go about that. But when you're going to start a business or even a company and you're looking to go in that sort of domain, what's your tips to anyone who is looking to do that? Because it's not obviously going to be an easy thing to do, as you know. And you explained about how finding your identity online, who you really were, what your mission wanted to be, and making sure that you're in line with yourself. So that's massive, and that was massive value there. But I guess when you're looking, so we can talk about that sort of stuff all day and people will resonate with it or they won't. But then when you come to the factual stuff, the information, all the building blocks, I guess you could call it, to get to where you are today. So there's a lot that happens, and I don't expect you to go through it all. But obviously a starting point would be lovely. So, where you sort of started building on that and how you sort of went from there.
Sure, thank you for that. Look, I do have to be really honest and say that I'm not sure my process through this will mirror everyone, but I can certainly speak to, my journey and how it unfolded for me. So what actually happened along my journey was I had these visions and downloads come to me. So essentially the company was seemingly gifted to me from a higher source because, what was imagined, I'm not an overly creative person, and what was imagined was far beyond what I can take credit for in terms of imagination and creativity. So for me, it was about essentially being provided this vision and then having to backtrack and go, well, if I'm going to really commit to manifesting that vision, where the hell do I start? And so I got actually really practical. So first and foremost, I went, okay, well, what are the risks here? And I looked at the legal ramifications and getting kind of that side of things squared away, so I could really understand the territory there. And one of my biggest tips of advice for people going down this road is actually to do some of that concrete risk aversive thinking, because I think when you're very heart-centered and you have a big drive to serve and to contribute, it's very easy to go down that particular road and then kind of feel a bit awash with the natural gravity that serving has. So I think for me, in carving out my own path, it was about going, okay, well, if I am going to commit to this vision, what are the parameters that are actually going to serve and contribute to the audience, but then also create longevity for myself and how I serve. So I think, being able to ask yourself some of those concrete questions and understanding more of some of those legal foundations really serves, at least from my perspective, to go, okay, I've got my ducks in a row and I know that I can move forward now in knowing that I have my bases covered. And so then I can just kind of let go of some of those nagging thoughts that can get in the way when we find ourselves on a particular trajectory. What else? What other advice could I give there? I think it really does come down to when you decide to serve and contribute in a way that seems really soul aligned, it's also about surrendering to that. Because if we have been in quite masculine driven roles before, and then I'm talking about masculine energy, not male female, but masculine driven roles where it's very executive and about the doing, I think a big shift in this kind of way of serving is the surrendering and going into that more feminine flow, so you can always create space for what your inner self is trying to tell you along this path. There are a few things off the top of my head, and like we said, we really could speak all day and put me on a tangent, and I'm happy to run with it. But is that kind of what
that is beautiful? Yes, thank you so much. That is amazing. It's so on point. And that's the thing, I guess, for people who are starting somewhere, they really need to know from people that have been there, those kinds of things, because they don't just normally come to you, and sometimes you might be up here doing something else, and these are the kind of things that people want to know. They really want to know, like, where does it all start? What did you need to do? What were your thought patterns? And that's amazing. So thank you so much. Beautiful. Some massive value you just dropped right there.
Oh, well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
I just want to touch back to something that you said, because I hadn't realized that that's what I had done, but it was like, okay, so what is legal with my business? Because by making that framework first, I was able to let go of all the social things that could potentially hold me back, so once I knew what was legal, it was much easier to find where my scarcity thinking was, because I was like, well, it's not illegal. Why did I think that was such a problem? You know what I mean? It's not illegal to not send Christmas cards, but it feels like it some years, right? Or whatever the thing is, because especially when it comes to allocating your time, right? Especially when you're learning a whole new vocabulary, if you will, or a whole new lexicon of expressing yourself, because I'm sure, Asha, it's even different now than when you were in a clinical practice. And so, but it's not illegal to use this word instead of that word, right? So yeah, just knowing those basic business foundations, so that no matter what kind of blowback you have, either from yourself or from people who are kind of doubters, you have that thing to challenge it with, well, it's not illegal, so it's so crazy it just might work.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's about creating that certainty for us, because when you do go out on that entrepreneurial or you decide to take the lead in how you're going to serve, having that backstop and that grounding and that certainty that gives you support to go forward with, I think is something that is quite often overlooked, and I think if we can get those foundational things right from the beginning, it just creates a smoother pathway forward for us in the long run.
Oh, ladies, this is what happens when you bring three phenomenal women together. They just bounce off each other. That's what happens, ladies. So let's go back to you, Keri. So I know, man, mind blown, you just dropped some amazing value before, but I do know that you have literally just dropped your podcast. So yeah, I'm talking to you.
We're talking to Jody. I heard E at the end, and so I was like, oh, she's got to be talking to Jody. Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I wouldn't even have the first clue on how to launch a podcast at all, and I can probably imagine not many people do.
Launching it's easy.
How about you give us a couple of tips on that one? I'd love to hear that, actually.
Well, it was a year of finding myself and deciding what my identity was and what I wanted to speak to. And then it was maybe a week of figuring out how to use Anchor. I mean, really. And then it was, but I had started, but keep in mind, I had started like recording myself a year ago. When I had created my Impossible Dream was like the first Anchor account that I created, and I recorded a whole bunch of stuff and never released it. Because that was kind of a part of my process. So what I had done is I had found the model, which is the life coach school, Brooke Castillo kind of modality of thought work. When you Google thought work, you'll find a lot of coaches, using the model and using her modality. But I was listening to her podcast one day, and it asked, well, if you could pick anything, what would your impossible dream be? And that was like my aha moment, like, oh, like anything, like it doesn't have to be responsible, or it doesn't have to like make sense based on my education or where I live, or like anything. And so when I picked that and started working my way backwards from a result to like, what are all the possible actions that I may have to take to get there? I was like, well, if I had a podcast and a Patreon account, then, I could start bringing in income. And then like, I totally recorded like 3 podcasts that were just like really graspy and needy, like as far as like, you should donate to my cause because I'm going to do really amazing things, basically is what they sounded like. And I was like, well, I can't, like, that's not what I want to go into the world, because even though that's what I'm feeling right now, that doesn't feel valuable to me. And so I never ended up releasing them. So they're going to be some like really great backstory content here in a while. But I mean, I started by doing it and not releasing it. And it wasn't because I was afraid. It was because I really wanted to be conscious of what I was putting into the world. Like, you could take action and you can do like bullet point steps. But again, like, I really had to go into my thoughts first. And like, my action was all between my ears for a really long time. And so it was just input. It was figuring out how to build a business. There's a lot of really good material out there. And if you dig, you can find, your mentors through learning how even if they're really great people, like really great information that they're putting out, if you dig back far enough and you don't resonate with the person that they are behind their business, it's not going to be as useful to you as if you really respect the person behind that business. So I don't care if you're choosing software, I don't care if you're choosing a modality, whatever it is, dig back, look at where that person started and see if you love that too. That if there's like a hack for how you want to direct your research when you're trying to decide what it is that you want to do and how you want to do it. There's so many good people putting amazing content out, like Jody, like really, really, she'll give it to you, and then you can look back and see kind of where she started. It's not just their story that they share. You can figure out the details of their story by looking closely, I think.
Yeah, true. It's very true too. Like making sure that you connect with the person. Definitely, I love that. Okay, so we are almost at 10 to 9. So let's talk a little bit about your businesses, ladies. I would like to just thank you all. You've given up your time to jump on here and have a chat with me, and I really do appreciate you answering my questions and providing some epic value. May I just add that, this has been phenomenal, the amount of value you ladies have dropped, and I just cannot be thankful enough. I love you all dearly, and I'm so proud to be able to call you my tribe and have you involved in my life. So I will drop over to, I'm going to go back to Keri first. And if you want to give us, yes, if you want to let us know what your offer is for anyone who is listening, what you would like to, gift out, or, what you have to offer for them.
Well, I have my podcast, and I try to I do put out an episode every Friday. I try to do more than that. As a matter of fact, I'll probably pop on and just do a quick blurb about courage. And then, working on some other like tangible sort of freebies that you can touch? I know that somebody has something going on that she can actually share with you guys here in a minute. On everybody's screen is Asha right below you? Because you're right below me. But regardless, okay, so Asha. And then as far as like working with me one-on-one, that's what I do. I do one-on-one coaching. I have a 3-month work together that we do. It's not bullet pointed because I'm really individualistic about what your needs are. And I think it's important to see where you're at with your lifestyle as to where to work. I'm not going to say we always start here and we always end here. It's really about that conversation about where are you and then where do you want to be. And for that reason, I actually, and every single coach will tell you not to do this, but I offer 2 consultation calls because it's really about giving you that opportunity to just tell your story and just let it all out without feeling like anything needs to be fixed then. I mean, I think sometimes when we go into a consultation call with a coach, it's, you know, you're like, well, I've got to sound like I know what I'm doing. Nope, first call is just for dumping. And then that gives me a really good idea because how you dump all that information too tells me a lot, you know, as to where you're at and like where to just kind of start inching our way in, because I inch in, but then like I expect quite a bit of dedication when it comes to learning and researching. I'm not going to tell you that working with me is 20 minutes a day. You know, to be perfectly honest, it's really for people who are looking to get out of their echo chambers and to just really dig deep into things that they've never even considered digging into before, digging deep into things that they may not feel are 100% relevant. And so like, I ask you to give up Netflix for 3 months. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to start reading and listening to podcasts and doing stuff. That's only 3 months. I promise it'll be worth it.
I love it. That's awesome. Thank you so much. You have so much value to give and you've dropped a fair bit of value today. So I really, you know, have you, anyone's got, sorry, have you got a link? You've got your podcast link, don't you? We can drop that in the comments. Yep, perfect. And if anyone wanted to get in contact with you, they can just message you on Facebook. Perfect. Asha, come on out, darling. I'm so excited for your announcement. Would you like to share with everybody what you've done to gift, and then what offer you have for people?
Sure. Thank you so much. You know, and before we wrap up, it's just been such a privilege to be here tonight. And I've just absolutely adored, you know, every minute that I've been able to spend with you ladies. And so I guess for me, where I'm at, I've literally just launched Light Tower that you can check out on www.light-tower.com.au. And with that, there is a link where you can have a free chat with me because I'm February 10, I am releasing an 8-week course, which is designed as an overarching framework of how to transcend whatever past pain or suffering may be and let go of old subconscious scripts that are holding you back, and really rise to the occasion and become all that you are and all that you're destined to be, and really step into that purpose within. So throughout COVID, what I actually designed was a master framework that condensed and included my 14 years of training, because time is precious and scarce, and you know, to try and deliver so much content in a short amount of time was challenging. So I wanted to bring something new to the table which actually gave people their own roadmap, because I'm very big on allowing people to put their own hands on the wheel. And if people have a map of how to steer once they've actually got their hands on the wheel, then that's how I wanted to show up and to serve. So this 8-week course is called Forging the Diamond Mindset. And that diamond mindset is actually training 3 core processes of the mind on how to transcend suffering and rise to the occasion. And that is actually an 8-facet system that I've designed that speaks to every aspect of your life. And as my gift to our audience tonight, I'd love to share, it's a free ebook, and I'll pop the link in the chat, and that actually covers 2 of those core facets. So it covers the perceptual lenses that can come over and cloud our experience, and then also gives them a strategy on how to retrain their attention to actually manifest the life that they desire. So I'll pop that in there. And like I said, they can jump onto the website and book in a free call and have a chat. And that's for both individuals and businesses. So I just thank you so much for the privilege of being able to share. And it's my absolute privilege to be able to share this first round of the offer here tonight with you ladies. And so just thank you so much for holding space and being the people in my life that champion me on my own particular journey. So thank you.
Yes! How exciting! The 10th of February. Ladies, what I'll get you to do as well, can you drop into the live on Facebook your links and everything as well in the comments, just so that people can that have come back and watched the replay can obviously reach out to you if they'd like to. Yeah. Thank you so much, Asha. You're amazing. I love it. Now, Jody, let's bring you on out and let's listen to what you have to offer the lovely souls who are watching.
I'm just still blown away that Asha just launched her program here. And I feel like we've walked the journey for some time together and grown. So that is so nice to be here tonight. And I was like, remember when we were on that call and you dropped your first program? Oh, so cool. Amazing. What's the question?
Oh, that's crack me up. I love that. So just around what your offer, what your gift is, and then what your offer is for anyone who is listening that would like to get in contact with you.
Yes. Look, I really think that my half-day workshop is a great place to start because it's just immense value, and you can come and get a whole heap, and then you'll see if there's any offers that you're aligned with or you feel that will serve you really well. So that's a really great place to start. If you don't want to wait, you can book a quick clarity call with me. We can go from there. But I really would like to gift, I'll put the link there so you can pop along to my half-day workshop. But anyone who's seen this content today, if they book, I will give them a VIP ticket to the workshop. So that's valued at over $600. So they'll get the VIP bundle for next workshop, which is on the 6th of February, which gives them a whole heap of stuff. But yeah, this Let's Go VIP. Yeah.
That is exciting. Thank you so much. You are so generous. I love it. Amazing. Alrighty, so I actually have an announcement of my own. So I am literally about to drop on the 3rd of February my first course as well. It's called Reborn. It is a 13-week program with 12 weeks worth of content. It is my baby and it is amazing, and I cannot wait to share it with the world. So what I'm doing for the next 24 hours, I'm actually offering a up to 50% off, and my course is valued at $1,500. So that's massive in the sense of getting someone to where they need to go, definitely. So all they need to do is reach out to me, which I'll drop some links into, and I do also have my free clarity calls as well. So but yes, alrighty ladies, I think we're going to wrap this up, but what I will get you guys to do is to stay on board, because we've got a few people here and I just want to see they're on the actual webinar, and I want to see if they wanted to chat with the VIP thing. So I will bid goodbye to Facebook. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in. We hope that you get some sort of value from this, even if it is the smallest thing. Take it, put it to action, and move forward. 2021 is going to be a year that you can create your own life, the one that you want. 2020 was one we none of us seen coming. However, we've lived it, we survived. Now it's time to path the way we want to go for the rest of our lives. So thank you, ladies. I appreciate and love you all. And I'm just going to drop out of the live. And
Time to get reborn.
woo! I don't know how to drop out the live. Hold on.